The Gilded Age is back and Season 4 is not coming to play because everything that Bertha Russell built is now starting to crack under its own weight, and I need you to stay right here because this season is going to be something completely different from what we have seen before. The official synopsis tells us that Bertha changed society at a cost, and now her entire family must face the consequences of every single decision she made, and that right there is the most exciting setup this show has ever given us because for 3 seasons we watched Bertha climb and fight and manipulate her way to the top of New York society, and now the bill is finally due. Think about everything she did. She invited divorcees into a ball and completely shattered one of the most sacred social rules of the Gilded Age, and while that moment felt like a triumph, it also made enemies, and Season 4 is where those enemies start to move. Agnes Van Ryn has been watching all of this unfold, and now she is seeing an opening to reclaim the power and position she lost, and Agnes, being Agnes, she is not going to do it quietly. She is going to go the traditional route, and she is probably going to use every flaw in Bertha's story to rebuild her own standing, which means we are about to get the most epic rivalry this show has ever delivered. Now let us talk about George, because his storyline in Season 4 might be the most emotional thread running through everything. After his health scare and his appearance at the ball, there was this brief moment where it felt like the Russell marriage might actually find its footing again, but then came the emotional distance and the cold silence, and a lot of that comes down to what happened with Gladys. George felt betrayed by the choices made around his daughter, and that wound has not healed, but here is where it gets interesting because Gladys is now married and pregnant, and seemingly settling into her new life with a stability that nobody expected, and seeing his daughter genuinely happy might be the one thing that slowly softens George's heart toward Bertha. But history tells us a darker story because the real George Russell was inspired by figures like Cornelius Vanderbilt, and those men were not saints. And if the show goes in the direction that history suggests, then George could be heading toward addiction and infidelity, and watching how Bertha handles that kind of betrayal after everything she sacrificed to build their empire together is going to be absolutely devastating and completely unmissable television. Marian's arc is also shifting in a really meaningful way because she stepped up during George's medical crisis and showed everyone, including herself, that she is capable of so much more than just playing by society's rules, and Season 4 seems to be pushing her towards something more purpose-driven rather than just chasing social expectations. Her relationship with Larry is still complicated though. The trust between them took some real hits, and it has not fully recovered, but these two are clearly still deeply in love, and Season 4 looks like it will test whether that love is strong enough to rebuild something real and lasting. Over on Peggy's side of the story, the tension with William's family continues to be the central obstacle, and his mother remains the biggest wall standing between Peggy and full acceptance, but William has consistently chosen Peggy even when the pressure from outside has been enormous, and that loyalty means their story feels like one of the most grounded and genuine relationships in the entire show. And then there is Oscar and Enid, and honestly, if you have been paying attention to their dynamic, you already know where this is going, because a lavender marriage between these two chaos agents would be the most perfectly chaotic subplot Season 4 could possibly give us. These two live for the drama and the social game, and putting them together could completely shake up the background stories in the most entertaining way. John and Bridget are also continuing their slow and steady build, and while it is not the loudest storyline, it has a warmth and consistency that gives the show real heart. Now, as for when we can actually watch all of this, HBO has already placed the Gilded Age in their coming in 2026 lineup, and the show was renewed before Season 3 even finished airing, which tells you how much confidence HBO has in this series. A specific premiere date has not been confirmed yet, but based on production pace, a later 2026 release seems very likely. Season 4 feels like the season where every storyline finally reaches its boiling point, and I genuinely cannot wait. If you want to stay updated on everything Gilded Age, then subscribe right now, because we are going to be covering every trailer, every update, and every breakdown as Season 4 gets closer, and trust me, you do not want to miss a single thing.